Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books, and welcome to June, the 1st of June today, which means it's my June TBR. I put out my plans for reading on the 1st of each month. This month, we're going to be reading lots of Jane Austen books, so I've set myself a challenge. The past few years I've done different sort of challenges at least once a year. The first year I did June Eyre, where I read Jane Eyre and different versions of Jane Eyre and adaptations and things like that. Adaptations. Then I did Pride and Prejudice. Last year I did Little Women. This year it's simply June Austen. So this month in June I'm going to be reading Jane Austen books, some Jane Austen non-fiction about her life and about the writing of the books, some adaptations or books that are based loosely on her books. And yeah, I'm really pumped for it. So the plan is, because there's the sort of, I guess the 6 main hitters, because I know there's like Lady Susan and other things as well, but the 6 main hitters that I'm hoping to touch upon at some point this month are Pride and Prejudice, obviously, Emma, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility, and Mansfield Park. Mansfield Park. I don't think I've got Mansfield Park, anything to do with Mansfield Park, so I have to read some. Oh no! I think I'm going to listen to an audiobook of Mansfield Park. I need my phone because it's got the audiobooks I'm going to listen to on. Be right back. Oh, so yeah, so those are the big hitters. I'd like to, as I said, touch upon, read either the original text, listen to an audiobook based on it, or something to do with each of the 6 of those novels. So that's the only sort of challenge I've given myself for. So the 2 actual Jane Austen books that I plan to read this month, whether or not I get onto more, and I've also just bought an Audible, the BBC radio plays of all 6 of the novels, the 6 that I've just mentioned, so Persuasion is the main one I want to read this month, because we're reading this for my Patreon book club, so I'm looking forward to reading and discussing that. This is also a bit of a slip of a thing, it's a thin thing, so I will be reading that, and then also Emma I'll be reading as well. Then I've got non-fiction, before I move on to the adaptations and the audiobooks that I've got this, Lucy Wolseley's Jane Austen at Home, a biography. This is also, I've been told, a TV show as well. So I've really got to crack on with this because there's a reservation on this that is needed back at the library by the 7th of June. And to be honest, guys, it looks pretty chunky. It's very small text, very big, bigger than normal pages. That's how big the book is. And sort of all over the page as well. And it's a hefty, yeah, it's 300 pages. More than 328 pages. So yeah, so I need to crack on with that straight away. So I think this is going to be something that I read alongside other things when I kick off reading. I think basically I should kick off with this as soon as possible. So that's some non-fiction Jane Austen. Then I've got some adaptations, which I'm all like books based on it. Ooh, 2 are by the same author. One is a hangover from when I did Pride and Prejudice. So I've got Pride, Prejudice and Other Flavours by Sonali Dev, and this is about an Indian American family. Dr. Trisha Raj is San Francisco's most acclaimed neurosurgeon, but that's not enough of the Rajes. Her influential immigrant family who have achieved power by making their own non-negotiable rules. Never trust an outsider, never do anything to jeopardise your brother's political aspirations, and never ever defy your family. So it sounds as though Trisha is the Elizabeth Bennet character, and then there's up-and-coming chef DJ Kane. It sounds as though DJ Kane is potentially the Darcy character in this as well. So there's that. Then also by the same author, I've got Recipe for Persuasion, which is based on, you guessed it, Persuasion. I love all these. There's a whole host of these. There's another one called Influenced by Emma, another one. Oh, they haven't got any more on there. So there's a series of these out. So if you've read these before and you're interested, then go and have a little look at the series. I know nothing at all about Persuasion, so reading the back of this won't... Oh, again, it's about Chef Asha Raj. Oh no, this is Asha Raj. Oh, so I wonder if the Raj family is the family that we follow throughout these books, and then different ones of their characters, different ones of the family have different sort of stories told about them influenced by the Jane Austen books. So yeah, that's Recipe. So that excites me because I love food in fiction. So I've got 2 food fiction Austen books here. So that's very exciting. Okay, so cool. That is exciting. Then there was a series of books where recent authors, so sort of like modern authors, had rewritten Jane Austen books based on the books. Why am I making such a meal of this? I read one of them when I read it for June Austen, and I absolutely hated it, and that was Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld. That's based on Pride and Prejudice, and I absolutely hated it. But I've got 3 more from the series here. So I've got Emma by Alexander McCall Smith, who is a well-revered author. To be honest, I've read Alexander McCall Smith's, he's most famous for the #1 Detectives, Ladies Detective Agent series. There's hundreds of them, isn't there? Well, there's all sorts now, because there's the 44 Scotland Street series, the Sunday Philosophy Club series. But yeah, so that's what he's most famous for. And I didn't really get on with that, so I don't know how I'm going to get on with the writing with this, but this is, yeah, so Emma. So I've already planned to read Emma this month, so I will read Emma before I read this. And obviously I plan to watch Clueless this month as well. No, what's Clueless based on? Emma. Yeah, it is based on Emma. But I also want to rewatch the Emma film with Anya Taylor-Joy as well, because I watched that a couple of years ago and absolutely loved it. So yeah, so hopefully I'll get on with it, but we'll see. I know the storyline of Emma, so let me read you the blurb. Sometimes it takes time to discover who you really are, and for Emma Woodhouse, the journey is only just beginning. As she returns home to Norfolk from university, Emma starts to change, but as she begins to matchmake various friends and neighbours, some important lessons about life and relationships await her. Sounds very much like Emma, doesn't it? Then we've got Northanger Abbey by Val McDermid. Haven't read Northanger Abbey, don't know anything about the storyline, but I know that Val McDermid is a very famous and revered crime writer. So I wonder if this has been pulled into a sort of crime writing thing. Let's find out. 17-year-old Catherine Cat Morland has led a sheltered existence in rural Dorset, a life entirely bereft of the romance and excitements for which she yearns. So when Cat's wealthy neighbours, the Allens, ask her to accompany them to the Edinburgh Festival, she is sure adventure beckons. Edinburgh initially offers no such thrills. Susie Allen is as obsessed by shopping, Andrew Allen by the fringe. A Highland dance class, though, brings Cat a new acquaintance, Henry Tilney, a pale, dark-eyed gentleman whose familiar home, Northanger Abbey, sounds perfectly thrilling, and an introduction to Bella Thorpe, who shares, there's lots of characters in this, isn't there, who shares her passion for supernatural novels, provides Cat with a like-minded friend. But with Bella comes her brother John, an obnoxious banker whose vulgar behaviour seems designed to thwart Cat's growing fondness for Henry. Happily, rescue is at hand. This is a long blurb. The rigidly formal General Tilney invites her to stay at Northanger with son Henry and daughter Eleanor. Cat's imagination runs riot, an ancient abbey, crumbling turrets, secret chambers, ghosts, and Henry. What could be more deliciously romantic? But Cat gets far more than she bargained for. We're nearly there. In this isolated corner of the Scottish borders, the real world outside the pages of a novel proves to be altogether more disturbing than the imagined worlds within. Well, I feel excited about the fact it's based in the Scottish Highlands. I don't know if Northanger Abbey is based in the Scottish Highlands, but yeah, that sounds exciting. But it sounds like there's a lot going on, doesn't it? It sounds like there's a lot of characters and stuff. We'll see, but exciting. And then I've got another super duper famous novelist, of which I've read none of her books before, and that's Joanna Trollope's version of Sense and Sensibility. I have read Sense and Sensibility, and I know I've read it because I've got the Cough-bound classic of Sense and Sensibility, and it's all, you can tell when you've read them because they all sort of start wearing off around the here. So I have read it. I can't remember anything about it. Is that the one where it's about sisters, isn't it? And I think Emma Thompson is in, I think Emma Thompson met her husband whilst filming Sense and Sensibility. Her husband, what is her husband's name? He was on Strictly last year. Greg Wise, thank you, David. I think he's also in that. I think Hugh Grant might be in it too. I'd quite like to watch that. That's probably one that I will watch this year. But yeah, I think it's about sisters. One who is, they're completely different, I think. But let's have a look. So 2 sisters could hardly be more different. There we go. Eleanor Dashwood, an architecture student, values patience and reliability. Her impulsive sister, Marianne, takes after their mother Belle and is fiery and creative, filling the house with her dramas and guitar playing while dreaming of going to art school. But when their father, Henry Dashwood, dies suddenly, his whole family finds itself forced out of Norland Park, their beloved home for 20 years. Without the comfort of status, their values are severely put to the test. Can Eleanor remain stoic and restrained, knowing that the man she really likes has already been ensnared by another girl? Will Marianne's faith in one and only lifetime love be shaken by meeting the hottest boy in the county, John Willoughby? And in a world where social media and its opinions are controlling forces at play, can love and triumph Can love ever triumph over conventions and disapprovals? So there we go. So yeah, I will. I look forward to getting round to that one as well. Hope these are good. I mean, yeah, I hope so. Then there's this, which is, there's a whole series of these. So this is Awesomely Austen. These are like middle grade retellings of Austen books. And this is Sense and Sensibility. But I can see from the back there's, the big 6 have all been done. And yeah, these are sort of, I guess, abridged versions with like illustrations and things in. And I always think it's interesting to visit abridged children's versions of these stories. I read a few graphic novels. Actually, I haven't got any Austen graphic novels, any adapted graphic novels this year, but I read a few Little Women graphic novels last year when I was doing Little Women, and I always find it interesting to see what plot points they've honed in on and what they've ignored and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that as well. So that's a couple of Sense and Sensibility ones I've got. Then I've got a few audiobooks. Now, as I mentioned, it's not an audiobook, but it's a series of plays that the BBC put on, the Jane Austen Radio Drama Collection. That's 14 hours in total. It's got people like Benedict Cumberbatch does it. Somebody else did it who I was very excited about. Maybe Dan Stevens, who I would be excited about. David Tennant. So yeah, and that's got, what ones has it got in there? It's the 6. So yeah, it starts with Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Emma and Persuasion. Who else? Toby Jones, Juliet Stevenson. No Dan Stevens, as I promised, sorry, but David Tennant and Benedict Cumberbatch there. So yeah, so I'll be listening to that. Then also, there's something that I'm going to get, which is a Mansfield Park book. I've put it on my wish list, so hold on a second. Not very good at navigating this. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, wish list. Then there's Seeking Mansfield by Kate Watson. This is only from Audible. 16-year-old Finley Park has perfected 2 things: how to direct a world-class production and how to fly way, way under the radar. The only person who ever seems to notice Finley is her best friend and godparent son, Oliver Bertram. I've no idea if this is based on Mansfield Park, but I thought it was. I'm sure it was. We'll see. But yeah, that Seeking Mansfield. I'm sure when I searched for adaptations that came up, so we'll do that. And then on Libby, I've got coming in, and it could come in any minute. In fact, it's ready now, is The Murder of Mr Wickham. And a few people recommended this to me. So it's a dinner party with lots of different couples from the Jane Austen books there. And they look at, and Mr Wickham's been murdered, as happens in Death Comes to Pemberley. He gets murdered, doesn't he? Is he the character that gets murdered? Is he the one that gets murdered in Death Comes to Pemberley? I think he is. He's been murdered, and they're all sort of like investigating it. So yeah, I'll borrow that now. Thank you very much. So that's another one. Any other audiobooks or Jane Austen adaptations that you've enjoyed? I've still got some coming in from the library. I've got Miss Austen by Nick Hornby's sister, Jill Hornby. That's coming in. I think that's more about Jane herself. But yeah, so it looks as though I'm in for some good reading. As I said, I'm going to be visiting some different adaptations in terms of films and TV shows. If you've got a favourite, let me know. I also mentioned it in my chat video recently, but if you've got a favourite film or adaptation, then definitely let me know down below. And yeah, here's to a month of Jane Austen reading, and I will see you all again soon for another booktube video. Goodbye!